Hi everyone, my name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to my series wrap up for Talbott Cove by Kate Canterbary. If you have been following my channel at all this year, you know that Talbott Cove was one of the series that I wanted to read by the end of the year. Essentially, I'm just trying to read all of Kate Canterbury's backlist at this point, but this was the series that I selected that I wanted to tackle first. It is a completed series, and a lot of Kate Canterbury's stories do kind of interconnect with each other. I can't tell you where this one fits in because I don't have the graphic up in front of me, and honestly, it doesn't really matter for me at this point because I'm reading everything out of order. But Talbott Cove is a very small seaside town, and it's the backdrop for all of these different couples who fall in love across the 4 books. 3 of the books are more interconnected than the others, although all of the characters feature in all of the books, so you do get a chance to meet them and see them and all that sort of fun stuff that happens in a series like this. And it is contemporary romance. Now, I had totally forgotten that the first book, which is Fresh Catch, is an story, and this is Cole and Owen's story. Cole is a tech billionaire who has found himself struggling within his company, and so he's on sabbatical, he's on his yacht, and something goes wrong with the yacht, and he ends up being helped out by Owen, who is a local lobster fisherman who also does a lot of work with the town. And Owen is also gay and, you know, hasn't really come out to anyone in the town, just prefers his privacy, not because he's ashamed of who he is, he doesn't want it being everyone's business. And he ends up offering Cole a place to stay while he's waiting for repairs for his yacht. Cole becomes a bit of an intrinsic part of Owen's life and in the fabric of the town. He's very interested in the town. He begins to make friends in the town and slowly helps sort of Owen come out of his shell just a little bit. Owen is kind of your grumpy character in this. Cole is kind of your sunshine character. It is very much a forced proximity. They're living in the same house kind of situation. And it does talk about experiences or past experiences with homophobia, so just be aware of that. I really liked it. We are introduced to Cole's assistant, who also gets her own story at the very end, which was also great. I should say it's 3 novels and a novella-ish length kind of story. Book 2 is Hard Pressed. This is Jackson and Annette's story. I will preface right at the start of this that Jackson is the town sheriff, so if law enforcement is an issue for you in your stories, just be aware of that. Annette owns the local bookshop, and for the longest time she had a crush on Owen, and in the first book he and Cole have to kind of gently rebuff her and, you know, let her know that there was never a chance that they were going to be together because he's gay. And so at the start of this book she's still kind of taking that personally, and it's not until Jackson steps in and helps her at one point that she realizes that maybe there might be something between her and Jackson, although it's not an easy path to travel. And this book does feature elements of caretaking, and we are also introduced to Annette's best friend, who we know from her interactions with Annette is caring for a parent who has dementia. And so that is a major sort of subplot that leads into the 3rd book. This 2nd book does also feature toxic family dynamics, specifically Annette's family, as well as on-page stalking. I think from memory that was one of Jackson's exes. This one was probably my least favorite in the 4 books that I read, but it was still enjoyable. Like, it's a small town contemporary romance, so I always enjoy those. Book 3 is Far Cry, and this one focuses on Brooke, who is the best friend of Annette, and JJ, who is the local tavern owner, who is also in the process of trying to open his own gin distillery and sort of bar. Brooke comes from money. She is the person with the parent with dementia. Her dad was the former judge of the town. He's very well known, but unbeknownst to the rest of the town, Brooke has been taking care of him since his illness progressed. Brooke and JJ, I think, have had an interaction in the past, so this is, you know, has elements of a second chance kind of story in there, and they are both very independent people who don't like letting people in. And whenever Brooke comes into the tavern, JJ is always pushing her buttons and she pushes right back. She's not a character who shies away from anything like that. She's the kind of female character that I like, who just knows what she wants. She is a hedge fund manager, but has had to take leave from that and kind of works remotely throughout the book, but was living in New York and has had to give up that kind of life to come back to this small, sleepy town. There are moments where being her dad's carer is extremely overwhelming for her and stressful, and that's on page, so just be mindful of that. JJ is also under some level of financial stress in terms of how he wants to open this distillery. He has a backer who ends up pulling out of it, and it's at a really awkward time that this backer pulls out, Brooke offers to step in because she has the money, but he doesn't want money entangled within their sort of developing relationship, which they're trying to keep secret. I found that the interplay between these two characters in particular was really interesting and fascinating because they've both got their own stresses and they're trying to keep their relationship something good and positive, and then having to work through the fact that once they catch feelings for one another, like actual feelings, they've got to work through that process. Cole does feature as a very prominent side character in the story, particularly for JJ's storyline, so I appreciated that because I quite liked Cole as a character. He's a very sunshine kind of character. There is the death of a parent in this story, so just be mindful of that. And there's also a side character who I really enjoyed reading about, who is the grown-up son of another couple in town who has a drug addiction, who has been through rehab multiple times and is back in town, and who starts working for JJ at the tavern. And his story is really interesting because you have a character who is who's actively in recovery, who's trying to rebuild his life and has people constantly checking in on him, but JJ is actually probably the most stable influence in his life because JJ is not hovering over him. He just expects him to turn up, do his job, etc. So I appreciated that kind of storyline as well, and I kind of wish we got his story. I don't know if it would appear somewhere else. That would involve me doing some research. The final book, which is more of a novella-length story, is Rough Sketch, and this one is the story of Nira, who is Cole's assistant at the tech company that he founded. It's her relationship with an artist in residence at that company called Gus. And Gus is very much the epitome of an artist and free spirit. He loves to go for walks in nature, so even though they've created this amazing workspace for him, he's never in it. Nira finds that intensely frustrating because that's not the way that she functions. My camera battery died, so hopefully I can remember where I finished up on. So theirs is very much a opposites attract office romance, and at one point Nira needs to go visit Cole in Talbott Cove, and she brings Gus along because he likes to go walk about in nature, and she's like, it's a small coastal town, there's plenty of opportunities for you to go and get lost in nature as per your artist wishes. Their dynamic is really fun and playful, and it also helps, I think, they temper each other's personalities, which I enjoyed. They also both discover that they have, you know, a shared interest or shared kink in public sex, or the idea of exhibitionism in public, and it was really fun. So that is the Talbott Cove series. I'm really glad that I read it. Even though it was on my list of series that I wanted to read, this was really just a mood reading option just to read through the entire series this past month, mostly because I have really struggled to read it, particularly in the second half of the month because of not feeling well. And I knew that Kate Canterbary was going to be that kind of writing, that kind of style that I could just sit down and read and not stress about it. So that was an excellent life choice for me. So obviously now I'm going to have to decide which Kate Canterbary series I'm going to complete next, because we're still rolling down this Kate Canterbary hill. In the comments, I'd love to know, have you read Kate Canterbury's Talbott Cove series or any of her series? Feel free to let me know if you've got a favourite one down below. Otherwise, if you want to let me know that you're here but you don't want to leave a comment, leave a boat emoji. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.